No, I just didn't know if they.
Who's going to be?
It's been 3 years since so the things that could have changed too. So.
I will call the special council meeting of February 5th, 2025 to order. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
What's back?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please call roll?
Here.
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 Vincent,
Here.
Perry, Madden,
Here.
Silver.
As you can tell, Steve Byron had a prior commitment tonight, so Evan Hirsch will be joining us. He's one of Steve's associates, and he's a former Orange Village councilman as well, so nice to have you back up here. We'll begin. Ryan, do you want to introduce our first guest?
Sure. So as part of my recently announced initiative, Active Orange, one of the pillars that I kind of laid out when I, in my initial words were, mental health and physical health. And I think, the topic that we're about to get into here is very pertinent. I have unfortunately been touched by this awful disease, and I'm sure a lot of people maybe in this room potentially in some form or another, directly or indirectly, have also had a loved one or somebody they know who is affected by dementia or Alzheimer's. They're awful, awful situations to have to deal with and watch or experience or help to take care of somebody like that. So I have had the good fortune of being asked to join the board of directors for the Alzheimer's Association here in Greater Cleveland. And it's a great association. I found it to be very helpful when I first had to start dealing with this disease as it has affected my mother and as I've had to care for her. But the resources available through the Alzheimer's Association have been amazing for me. And this is, I think, again, one pillar of what I think of when I think of wellness and health for yourself or for those around you, and for our community. So I asked one of my colleagues at the Alzheimer's Association, Mary Erdl, to come and speak about the association, the resources. Fortunately, I didn't have to really know about it very much until I had to deal with it directly. So I think it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but you never know when it might be something you do have to deal with, and it's great to know that there are resources available. So, Mary, thank you for coming in and introduce yourself, the association, and tell a little bit about what is available through it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Like Ryan said, my name is Mary Erdl. I am the program director for the Cleveland area chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. So we serve 5 counties kind of along the lake in Northeast Ohio. Our vision is a world without Alzheimer's and all dementia. So that's one thing I definitely want to point out is we don't just help people with Alzheimer's disease. It's anyone with any cognitive impairment or memory loss whatsoever. What I do is on the care and support side of things. So just for reference, when I started at the association in 2014, we said there are almost 5 million Americans living with Alzheimer's or dementia. Just a decade later, we say there's now 7 million Americans living with Alzheimer's and dementia. It's actually expected to double by 2050 with the aging population. Age is the greatest risk factor for dementia. So as our population ages, it's definitely a public health crisis that we're dealing with. In Ohio specifically, there are 220,000 Ohioans living with dementia. Cuyahoga County has the highest prevalence rate. The average prevalence rate is 10.9%. Cuyahoga County is 13.4%. So it definitely is an issue here close to home. So what we do at the Alzheimer's Association is provide free care and support services for people that are facing this disease. So we have a 24/7 helpline. Anytime people have questions or concerns or just want to talk with someone that understands the disease, you can always give us a call. We literally never close. Locally, we also have master's level care coaches that help families navigate the situation. So help families develop an action plan, figure out their next steps, figure out what resources are available to them. And again, it's a totally free program to just have someone walk you through this disease. We do a lot of education in the community around brain health, around warning signs of the disease, around communication techniques and behaviors and how to respond to them to make caregiving a little bit easier. We also have caregiver support groups. So for people that want to learn from other people going through this situation, it's a great way to connect, know that you're not alone in this disease, and get some advice and feedback from people that are going through it as well. We also have programming available for people that are diagnosed with the disease, and we are seeing more and more people get diagnosed with this disease. So we do have programming for people that are in the early stages, that are aware of their diagnosis, that want to connect with other people that are also experiencing these memory changes, as a way for them to know that they're not alone and that there's things that they can do and you can still live well with dementia. So, you know, that's my side of things, the care and support side of things. We also fundraise. We're the largest nonprofit funder of research for Alzheimer's and dementia. We do a walk to end Alzheimer's every year. But there's 7 million Americans that are, you know, currently facing this. So we want to make sure that we have the care and support services available for the people that are affected right now, and ultimately, you know, find a cure to this disease. So I have some information with me. Ryan is on our board. You know, I know that he can connect anyone with information as well, and happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
I'm just wondering, what's the sort of update on research? Because I think there's been a couple breakthroughs.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm so glad you brought that up.
I was asking about any updates, just sort of, big picture updates on research, because I think I heard that there was some breakthroughs recently. And
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you said that. So when I started 10 years ago, we said Alzheimer's was the only leading cause of death in the top 10 with no way to prevent it, treat it, or cure it. And we don't say that anymore. 2 years ago, we got the first traditionally approved FDA medication for Alzheimer's disease. So prior to that, the medication we had was exclusively to treat the symptoms of the disease. And now we have 2 medications that can actually slow the progression. So it's very specifically for people that have Alzheimer's disease, not vascular dementia, not Lewy body dementia. It's Alzheimer's disease, and they have to have mild cognitive impairment or early stage dementia. So it's for a very small group of people. There's a long way to go, but it's the first time we can say we can actually change the progression of the disease. So it's really exciting. There's also a ton going on around lifestyle factors and things that people can do to reduce their risk of the disease and brain health in general. Research has found that about 40% of cases of dementia could be prevented with lifestyle factor changes. And there's a lot going on currently around what does that look like and what lifestyle factors. And, it's diet, exercise, all of those things that we know. Heart health is connected to brain health. But now we actually have the research to back that up, which is really exciting too.
I serve on the Arts and Culture Committee, and I've heard that music helps patients tremendously. Can you speak to some of those programs that might be offered to assist?
Yeah, absolutely. So music is one of the last things that's affected by this disease. It's just stored in a part of the brain that people hold on to. The way that the disease works is it affects your short-term memory first and your long-term memory last. And music is one of the first things that we learn. So that, sticks in our brain for a longer period of time. We have a great program in partnership with the Cleveland Museum of Art designed for people with memory loss to attend with a care partner, to learn about art, to talk about art, to be around other people. Socialization is really good for your brain and for progression of the disease too. So that's a great program we have. We just did a dementia-friendly screening of Wicked at the Cedar Lee Theater. As we turned the lights up a little bit, we turned the sound down a little bit, but it was a way for people to do something normal, and participate in the community and get out and enjoy that music. So we're looking at, doing a couple things this summer too, of like Grease, or, playing older movies too, because we know that musical connection is so important. And then part of our early stage program too, we do like social engagement events for that as well. And a lot of times arts and music are incorporated into that as well. Most of our funding comes from the state of Ohio, the Ohio Department of Aging, and then locally through the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging. And then our Walk to End Alzheimer's, we say, fuels our mission. We do some of our own individual fundraising as well.
Nothing else.
You got anything? Or?
I just want to say thank you very much. Again, I think this is a sad situation, and it's just unfortunately going to affect, I feel like, more people as time goes on. And this has been a wonderful resource to me. I'm grateful to be part of it now, to make sure other people have access to the same things I had access to, and continue to have access to. And again, thank you for coming, and thanks for kind of spreading the word even further. So
Thanks so much for having me. It's totally free. We're just here to help.
thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Wish I'd known about it last year.
Mayor Klein, I believe you have a proclamation.
Oh, and I didn't notice Rosie was here too.
By invitation.
Scott Lewis has served for nearly 19 years on our Planning and Zoning Commission. He has served with incredible skill and passion, and we greatly appreciate it. Therefore, we wanted to recognize that, issued the following proclamation. Whereas Scott Lewis has been a valuable and important member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and Architectural Board of Review for over 18 years, and whereas Scott and his wife Rochelle have been residents of Orange Village for more than 30 years, and whereas Scott has been instrumental in decisions made on behalf of the Planning and Zoning Commission that have significantly impacted the character and future of the village, including Pinecrest, the Omni Living Well collection, and numerous planning and development ordinances completed during his tenure. Scott has been involved in many civic and professional organizations, including a past member of the Orange Village Charter Review Commission. And whereas Scott is an accomplished franchise law attorney and partner at Myers, Roman, Friedberg, and Lewis, and whereas Scott will continue serving Orange Village and the residents as a member of the Tax Incentive Review Council and serve on the community committees, bringing his thoughtful and learned perspective to all of his work. And whereas Scott and Rochelle are the proud parents of Sarah and Brad and their beloved Rosie, and whereas Anthony Lazar of the Planning Commission noted, it was a pleasure to serve with Scott. His true care and concern for each item, issue, and applicant allowed for greater consideration of each issue. His careful thought and consideration allowed a broader mindfulness of all things considered. His heartfelt passion and good humor and occasional impromptu crooning were a refreshing break and an enhancement to the normal meeting tone and cadence, and extend his wish for Scott's good future and all the best in that future. And whereas Councilwoman Stacy Edelman Vincent has stated, I have been blessed to know Scott Lewis in many capacities, as a friend, a colleague, a fellow singer, my campaign treasurer, and as a dedicated 18-year member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Scott has always served as a wonderful mentor to me with his incomparable depth of knowledge on a multitude of subjects. He is thoughtful, kind, hardworking, considerate, and always does his due diligence on every issue that comes before the commission. He will be missed and leaves big shoes to fill. I am thankful for all that he has done for Orange Village, but most of all, I'm grateful for his friendship, which I will continue to treasure in years ahead. And whereas Mayor Judson A. Klein stated, I have known Scott since he was a young man as a friend of my brother. I came to know and respect him as a professional in his work at Myers Roman, Friedberg, and Lewis, and as a neighbor on Orangewood Drive. However, it is through our collegiality on the Planning Commission and ABR that I came to truly appreciate his commitment to the village, his thoughtful deliberation, and passionate concern for issues we addressed. I thank him for his dedicated service to Orange Village, and now, therefore, I, Judson A. Klein, Mayor of Orange Village, Ohio, along with Orange Village Council and staff, thank Scott Lewis for his service to Orange Village and its residents. He will be missed at the planning and zoning meetings, but we will still see him in the park with his beloved dog, Rosie, and at numerous notoriety performances showcasing his musical talents. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of Orange Village, Ohio, to be affixed this 5th day of February in the year 2025. Thank you, Scott.
You want to step to the microphone?
You have a
I'd like to thank Mayor Klein.
Make sure you speak in the microphone.
Not only am I not noted for my brevity, I'm not noted for being quiet. But I'll fix that. I'd like to thank Mayor Klein. I'd like to thank council, all concerned for the proclamation. As I told Councilman Vincent a few moments before the meeting began, I intend to remain very involved in village affairs. We've lived here, my wife Shelley, Rochelle, and I have lived in Orange Village since 1994. I intend to continue to give back to this great community in different capacities. It was my privilege to serve on planning and zoning. People on that committee have always, done their homework, prepared to discuss robustly at times issues before the village, and it was my honor to join them in that endeavor. And I thank the committee members, the Planning and Zoning Committee members who contributed to this proclamation. I feel as though I'm retired or something. I'm anything but retired. And again, my sincere thanks.
Well, thank you.
May I quickly add something? As I said, upon learning of his retirement, Scott Lewis is a gem and highly deserving of these accolades. I congratulate him again with gratitude for all of his exceptional work in the village. And I hope with all the free time he will now have, and knowing his love of singing and playing piano, we can get him to join us on the Arts and Culture Committee. Maybe. And the Parks Committee, all of it. So congratulations, Scott.
All right, thank you. Judd, you mentioned in your proclamation having some big shoes to fill, so in light of that, I will make a motion to fill those shoes. I'll make a motion to confirm the appointment of Jeffrey Light, Planning and Zoning Commission, for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2026. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stacy. We had several applicants for this role, and they were all wonderful, wonderful candidates. We were all very impressed with all of them, and all of them would have been a great asset to the committee. Jeff kind of stood out with some of his background and experience, and we're excited to have him on planning and zoning as well. We do hope, I don't know if the other candidates are listening in now, we hope they would stay involved in one way or another with some of the committees we have now set up. But anyone have any comments on Jeff?
I do. I want to welcome Mr. Light, if approved tonight, to our Planning and Zoning Commission. His qualifications are numerous, and I know you'll be a fantastic addition. Filling Scott's shoes will be difficult, but I know you have the credentials and the background to chart your own path to continue moving Orange forward in a positive light. And I also want to thank all of the residents who expressed interest in the position. I am absolutely awestruck by the caliber of talent we have here in Orange Village, both in capabilities and willingness to serve. I hope I'll have the opportunity to work with all of those individuals on the various committees and in other capacities in the year ahead. I truly value all that they bring to the table, and I congratulate Mr. Light, and I wish you well on planning and zoning. Welcome.
Any other comments? All right, Anna, please call roll.
Foster. Bilski. Allner.
Yes.
Vincent. Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
Congratulations. Mayor Klein will swear you into the committee right now.
Come on down. I'm going to administer the oath of office. Raise your right hand. Turn around so you're on camera. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jeff Light,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio, rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially,
honestly, and
impartially discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission
as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission
and the Architectural Board of Review
and the Architectural Board of Review
of Orange Village,
of Orange Village,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
You've done it. Congratulations. Sign your name. You get to keep one of these two and give the other one to Anna over there when you get down, and you might go down the aisle and
Kim in there now. I'm just gonna copy him.
other page too.
Swearing her in, we voted on her already. So best of-
Oh, that's true, you're right.
Do it later.
No, did you?
It's all in the nibs.
Yeah.
An appointment by me, yeah.
Thank you.
You might want to stay there. Staying on the planning and zoning theme. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You can.
Thank you.
I have a cold, so.
I have to get the other,
Staying on the
Thank you.
planning and zoning theme. So last month, we appointed Kim Olner as the council rep to planning and zoning. We neglected to have her sworn in. So, Mayor, would you swear her in, please?
Thank you.
make you official. Did you memorize what Jeff just said? Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Kimberly Ulmer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the rules, regulation, and charter of Orange Village,
the rules, regulation, and charter of Orange Village,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge my duties
my duties
as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and Architectural Board of Review
as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and Architectural Board of Review
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Congratulations, you're official. You can sign this and keep a copy and give a copy to Anna. Split them up here. There you go.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
A different pen.
Oh, that's right, because you have to put, one of them has to be. Your home. There you go.
Okay, thanks, Kimberly.
We're so funny.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on. We got a loaded agenda tonight. Let's get into it. Is there a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of January 8th, 2025? Thank you, Stacy. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Phil. Any questions or comments on them? All right, Anna, please call roll.
Foster. Bilski.
Yes.
Allner. Vincent.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. All right, is there a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of January 22nd, 2025? This was the meeting we had to do the interviews for the planning and zoning candidates.
Make the motion.
Thank you. Kim, is there a second? Thank Thank you, Stacy. Any questions or comments? Anna, please call roll.
Foster,
Abstain.
Bilski,
Yes.
Allner,
Yes.
Vincent. Madden,
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Is there a motion pursuant to Section 107.01E5 to ratify the execution of a contract with Flock Group for the purchase of license plate reader cameras, software, and attendance services for a total price not to exceed $112,500 paid over 5 years? I'll make a second on that. Chief Roberts?
Yes, the flock cameras originally came to us in 2021 for a 2-year contract, 2021, 2022. 9 cameras at totaling $22,500 annually. And over that course of those 2 years, Detective Sergeant Atwell determined that we weren't getting all of the service that we should have for the terms of the contract. He brought his concerns to Flock. Flock agreed, and then they provided us the year 2023 without an invoice, free. We gladly accepted, and then at the end of 2023, they said, hey, we'll lock you in at the $2,500 per unit price for the next 5 years if you sign a 5-year contract. We had that looked over by Steve Byron. It went to Mayor Mulcahy, and it was signed by her. Then in 2024, we received our invoice, and the invoice also reflected a discount of $9,500 off the $22,500. I emailed with Flock directly and reminded them that they gave us the year 2023 free. And did they also intend on giving us the financial break? And they emailed me back that they did. So the $22,500 was not charged to us, it was $13,000, and the mayor felt that was under his spending authority, and signed it. This year, when we received the invoice for $22,500, it became apparent to us that maybe back when it was originally signed by Mulcahy, and this is maybe where Evan can help me with, contract didn't appear in front of council first. So maybe you can help me explain those nuances.
Right, well, I think
We got it.
it was under the, I'm sorry, it was threshold, so
Right.
therefore it needed to be in front of
Right.
council.
The very first one should have.
Right.
So we need to understand that happened and move forward with that. And then I'll speak to the usage of Flock. Every time we get an incident where those are stationed, we go to them. And they're very valuable and worth every penny. And now Flock has grown and put money into their own company, and they're a viable option for us. We want to continue the relationship if you,
Do you foresee them maintaining that discount for the entire length of the contract?
yeah, it's a price lock for 5 years. Should you, and it's paid annually, so should you non-appropriate funds, there's that clause in there, so we're not bound by every year, but we'll pay it annually, and it will lock us in.
But it will always remain under that 15 threshold now, right?
No.
No, it's $22,500 annually.
They are going to.
The only reason it was under was because they also applied that discount, putting it at $13,000.
Gotcha.
The approval, it was a clerical error. It was an oversight by Mayor Mulcahy, by Steve Byron too. It was, no one's trying to pull a fast one on anyone here. It was just an oversight, and that's why we're working to make this
For
right.
the police department as well. I mean, we know once we get legal advice, we also need to follow financial advice. It happened.
Yeah.
So we're just disclosing that, and we're moving on.
Kudos to Dana for catching it.
Dana caught it this year when she realized there was no contract in play.
Yeah.
So I would like to say something. Well, I think it's very valuable, and I think it's great that Dana and our mayor and you all came forward to make a correction, and I'm sure that we'll address the correction with the vote. I am concerned, according to Steve Byron, quote, "My focus had been on the terms of the contract, not the need for council to approve it. Nobody asked the question, and I didn't answer the question that wasn't asked," end quote. I am suggesting that we need some sort of check and balance system so that this doesn't happen again in the future. Again, Dana and the chief and Mayor Klein were right to bring this forward to council for our intervention and endorsement now when it was noticed. But I am concerned that this was not caught at the time in 2023 and that there clearly is no system of checks and balances in place. I am requesting that our village put in place a check and balance system to prevent such incidences from occurring in the future, and I believe that that is the prudent course of action.
If it helps, I can speak a little bit to that. Dana has provided perhaps that exact check and balance under my new administration as I'm learning this new role. It wasn't always, well, I'll just tell you what it is now. I pursue the relationship. I understand it's over my authority. I then have to go to Dana first and say, do you agree this is budgeted expense? I'd like to pursue the mayor's permission. Yes, if it's over the mayor's authority, my question to her is, do you believe it's a budgeted, and in an email, and then let's seek counsel. And if she says yes, then I would go to Anna, and Anna would make sure we have the motion, and we'll do it that way. It will catch those, and then if this happens again, the buck stops with me. I didn't follow those procedures. I understand I have to follow them at my $1,000, the mayor's 15, and the rest council.
Maybe, and I think that's great. And again, I don't think that anyone had any ill intention
No,
at all.
I don't either.
Of anyone that's been mentioned.
Yeah.
But we also have other departments as well. And also, none of us are here forever. Maybe putting down some type of, just in writing, some type of procedure, you know, I really think it would take less than 10 minutes as sort of a checklist. And I just think it's something that would be good to have going forward.
I mean, I can say that, you know, I've been on council for 6 years. Mayor, I know you've been up here for longer. This is the first time I can recall that something like this has ever happened. So it's not like it's an ongoing problem where.
It's not the first time that we've been asked to vote on something after the fact, because it should have been voted on
Well, that's a
previously.
different story. But
It really isn't. It's really very much the same.
You're talking
idea.
about procurement matters, and this is, I mean, we haven't had many procurement issues, none that I don't recall one right now that we had to go back on. But I hear what you're saying. Your point is valid. And if we have a procurement policy of any kind here in the village, which I'm going to guess we probably do, you know, if we can review that as council and maybe review the language and how the steps are laid out. But I would guess, does a procurement policy exist of some kind here? So.
Let me speak to both of those subjects. As this particular incident unfolded, it became abundantly clear to me that we do need to have a more clear check and balance system available to all of our departments, not just the police department, the fire department, building department, service department. And our finance department is really the conduit through which all that needs to pass at some point. And Dana and I have sat down and put our heads together and identified the mechanism by which that will happen so that we don't have these kinds of incidents, you know, pop up as they relate to internal and administrative activities, particularly where there may be a council intervention that's appropriate. And where those are concerned, and I've made that point to all the department heads, that I want that to happen. While I have a spending authority, I will have a discretionary authority as to what might be appropriate to bring to council for further conversation. You will see on the agenda another item coming up here that just incrementally went over the spending authority of the mayor, and I said, it's going to go to council. We could have managed it but I chose not to do it that way because that's our policy, that's our procedure, and that's the way that we will maintain both transparency in what we do and integrity in how we do it. And it's my intention to have that integrity, and to the extent there is a written set of guidelines for these kinds of activities, I will bring that forward and we'll have that for discussion shortly.
I appreciate that, Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other comments on this? We have a motion and a second, correct?
Yes.
All right. Anna, will you please call roll?
Foster, Bilski,
Yes.
Allner,
Yes.
Vincent, Madden,
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. I will make a motion to declare a 2017 Ford Explorer with the VIN listed there as surplus to be disposed of at the mayor's discretion. Is there a second?
Second that.
Bob?
This is a repurposed police vehicle that ended up going to the building department. Currently, there's having some transmission problems, and when we looked and investigated the cost of repair for the transmission, the age of the vehicle, the repair overvalued what the vehicle was. So we're repurposing a vehicle from the police department, Ford EcoSport, which is a 2019, I believe, very low miles, not a used police car for the most part. That will be replacing this. So that's what we're looking for. Surplus, get rid of it while it still has some value.
Sounds good. Any questions or comments?
No warranty.
Anna, please call roll.
He's gonna,
Foster,
oh, that's good.
Foster, oh, Bilski,
Yes.
Allner,
Yes.
Vincent, Madden,
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. All right, I will make a motion to declare a 2015 Ford Fusion with that following VIN as surplus to be disposed of at the mayor's discretion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Stacy. Same thing?
Basically the same thing. There's a lot of underneath problems with framework and stuff like that, and it was actually being used within the police department. I talked to Chief Roberts, and it's something that he does not necessarily need in his fleet. He was hopeful for it, but in the use of the police department, it's really not the ideal vehicle to keep in service anymore, you know, bearing what they might come across. So same thing, let's get rid of it while it still has a little bit of value, but it's really not safe enough to be in the law enforcement business.
Let me
Comments?
add a couple of things that really pertain to both of these. We do, our departments do a superlative job in keeping the vehicles rolling to the extent that we can and keep them in some service. This particular vehicle was such that I wouldn't want to put people in it and put them at risk. The place that both these vehicles will be sent to basically are harvesting vehicles. They will buy them for parts more than anything else. And then whatever funds come from it will go back into our treasury. And we have other vehicles that will serve in their stead. To do that wherever we can and be effective and long-term thinking with all of those vehicles that we put into service in Orange Village.
All right, thank you. Anna, please call roll.
Foster, Bilski, Allner,
Yes.
Vincent, Madden,
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. A motion pursuant to section 1327.01A of the Orange Village Codified Ordinances to approve the revised residential and commercial project fees at the building department.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. So this is in relation to the tree canopy ordinance that was passed last month. I think we just added in here, Mayor, if I'm not mistaken, it's just the cost to replace trees that are.
It's not the cost to replace trees. In our code, we require the planting of street trees. And these are they are provided by the village and paid for by the individual, whether it's for a single-family home or for a commercial endeavor. And this is the fee structure that we use to pay for those specific trees that are put on those sites. There are two articles. One is for commercial and one is for residential. So and they're both treated the same in terms of the cost. But the purpose is so that the funds are there. The village isn't just paying for the trees that will be on someone's property. They're on the tree lawns essentially, and they are of particular types that our service department installs.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions or comments? Anna, please call roll.
Bilski,
Yes.
Allner,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Madden,
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Is there a motion to authorize the purchase and installation of PCM boards for administration and council chambers HVAC units from Train Technologies for an amount not to exceed $15,028.18?
So moved.
Thank you, Stacy. I'll make a second on that. This is what Mayor Klein was referring to earlier, how it exceeded his spending authority by $28.18. So that's why this is on here. Bob, is this yours or?
Yes, sure. This is going to actually tie in with ordinance 2025-4. You'll see farther down on the agenda. But anyways, every year we look at energy-saving conservation projects, and typically we have been targeting HVAC and control systems within the municipal center. We've already done LED improvements. We've done traffic light signal LED upgrades, a number of things within the village and within the buildings. This is original equipment on the HVAC units. There's two of them, one that serves the council chambers, the other one that serves the admin area. And those units, these PCM boards, which is like the brain of this, are obsolete. If it goes down, we're going to have some problems. So we're being a little cautious, and we're getting them replaced now. That price was $15,028. Everything we have in the building is Train. We've been down that road with other agencies, companies doing work, and Train is, they know their equipment. They're the most reliable company to go to. They do great work for us. So the due diligence was very short on this. The recommendation is approval to replace the two PCM boards. To further, with the passage of 2025-4, the village is going to receive $9,697 through the NOPEC NEC grant, which we apply to offset that. So basically, out of pocket, you're looking at just over $5,000 this upgrade. So, and it ties into our, building automation system and really provides us the most efficient operation.
Sounds good. Any questions or comments? Anna, please call roll.
Foster, Bilski,
Yes.
Allner, Vincent,
Yes.
Madden, Silver.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is a discussion of the marijuana moratorium. So when the state of Ohio voters approved recreational marijuana at the start of last year, there was a lot of uncertainty regarding how this was going to be governed by the state of Ohio. So we put a 6-month moratorium in place at the start of last year. We put another one in place in the middle of last year, and the second one has expired. So I think it's time we need to revisit this topic. I think we're past the point of a moratorium, and we either do nothing and allow the potential for a marijuana dispensary to enter the village, or we put a total prohibition in place. So that's my opinion. We do have further guidance on how it works in the state of Ohio. I know there's a finite number of licenses that they have granted. It's not like we have companies beating down the door to enter Orange Village. As far as I know, we haven't had any. I think there's very limited places where a marijuana business could go in Orange Village. I spoke with Pinecrest. They would not allow something like that. I don't know that they've written anywhere, but they just said that's just something they would not allow in Pinecrest. So, realistically, you got a little bit on Chagrin Boulevard where there's already one in Woodmere. Right there anyways. You got the little strip center next to the diner at Miles and Brainerd. Possibly one could go there, I guess. But I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts to see where we wanted to go with this. So I don't know if anyone wants to chime in. Go ahead, Steve.
I will. I have a statement. This has been a year in the making, so I've given it a lot of thought. You know, we put into place the moratorium as we awaited the state guidelines and better evidence of how other, especially immediately surrounding cities and municipalities, were handling those decisions. I'm torn. We hear news stories about cannabis poisoning, especially in children, on the rise, and the ease of access to food, beverage, and candy product lookalikes that have led to increasing accidental overdoses from cannabis-related toxicity. But I've also heard, on the flip side, that the regulated dispensaries that are most directly affected by our moratorium meet and often exceed FDA standards and offer strict regulations. Yet concerns over safety still exist. I chatted with Solon's mayor after learning that Solon had an applicant who applied for the drive-through variance on Aurora Road that was approved by both their planning commission and their city council. He noted that the state voted to approve marijuana use, as did the city of Solon, and for the record, as did Orange Village, quite overwhelmingly, according to the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. As you might recall, Cuyahoga County as a whole passed that then issue 2 with 66.7% of the vote. Orange voted yes with 69.9% of the vote. Although the Solon dispensary hasn't opened yet, Mayor Kraus noted that it will be heavily regulated by the state. I also spoke with Woodmere's mayor, Ben Holbert, who shared wonderful insight about Woodmere's dispensary experience. Please keep in mind that Woodmere residents voted for issue 2 by a whopping 72.2% yes vote. As some of you know, Woodmere has one dispensary located directly across from Village Hall. Mayor Holbert noted that they have been excellent corporate neighbors with no police calls there and called the level of security in the facility remarkable. He said there is a steady stream of customers, but they come in, they make their purchases, and they leave without issue. Mayor Holbert did share with me that there were some initial concerns from residents, but after a public hearing where Cleveland officials spoke about their experiences, those concerns subsided. He also noted that Woodmere's experience with their dispensary has only been positive since their opening a year or so ago. As you might recall, I have offered previously to have someone from a local facility and or from the state pharmacy board to come in to speak with us, if you like, still happy to do that, about security protocols and how the program is structured. It has also been recommended by the mayor that the mayor of Woodmere, that we tour a dispensary or growing facility to see firsthand the rigorous security measures that are in place, along with the process from seed to final product. In transparency, my family was personally affected when my husband was hit and his car totaled by a driver who we were told was high and drinking. The memory of that accident sends me spiraling. So personally, I'm not a fan of marijuana use, and I am more than cautious. But I have also been a proponent of listening to the voters, and in the research I have done, I have only heard positive reviews about the dispensaries themselves. I still am torn about the concept, but I want to fairly represent and honor the majority of our voters. So with due diligence moving forward and with crucial guidance from our police chief and police forces, and keeping an eye also on the potential revenue gain for the village and for public safety and law enforcement, I will support lifting the moratorium at this time and not reinstituting it, but allowing it to go as is.
One thing to keep in mind is if we do put a prohibition on it, it wouldn't do nothing to prevent an Orange Village resident from going to the dispensary in Woodmere or anyone else, buying what they want, taking it home, and using it. Chief Roberts, I know you reached out to a number of different police departments in the area. Can you share your conversation, your findings?
Yeah, there are 13 of these businesses in Cuyahoga County right now. We reached out through the police dispatch centers of 8 of those jurisdictions and did a snapshot of what kind of calls for service they received in year 2024. And wherever you have people problems over alarm drops, car crashes, things like that. There was a fraud at one of the dispensaries in the neighborhood of $9,000. These things happen at businesses. 1 or 2 had domestic trouble in the parking lot, and one of those was on the telephone. Accelerated verbal altercation on the phone, and it just happened to be in the parking lot. I saw nothing alarming out of any of these businesses that would be more than any other business in town.
You shared your findings in an email with me, and it looked like the types of issues you would have with any business, and places like that.
That's correct.
So I'm against it. and I will remain against it. I think that we should prohibit it. If people want it and need it, it is available in Woodmere. I do think that the availability for abuse, particularly with our youth, is high. I don't think that we need to contribute to that. And while it did pass, I think that I personally believe that the wording on that, on that ballot issue, was very confusing to many people. And there were a lot of people afterwards that I heard from anecdotally who said, I didn't really realize that that's the way I was voting. So if we really wanted to consider it, at the very least, I would say we ought to at least let the residents of Orange know that we're considering it and have an opportunity where people are notified in advance, come to this meeting on such and such day and let us as council know what you think. But it would take a heck of a lot for me to vote for anything other than a prohibition.
Is that something that we could do at a time when and if somebody applies for the dispensary? Is that something that we could vote on at that time and allow and encourage residents to come in and talk about it?
Yeah, does a public meeting, can you call a public meeting for just if somebody comes and applies? If they're allowed to come and apply for it, can you say, well, actually, we got to wait for everybody else to voice their opinion?
I don't know if the timing would line up. That's where you really would have to figure it out. I mean, certainly council can act,
Yeah.
but you'd have to have knowledge of the application process and then parallel pathing it, but
Unless we have like the restrictions in place, we can't just
timing issue.
deny someone of that application if just because, I don't
They
know.
have to know in advance before they applied or while they're applying or something.
Am I correct in
Frame in place.
Am I correct in my recollection might not be correct, that's what I'm asking. The new development that's going in across Pinecrest, I thought I heard somebody say we don't want fast food there, we were going to keep it upscale, we want a certain feel level of clientele.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and that's fine, right? I'm not knocking it. I don't think that Orange Village needs pot. Marijuana is not what it was 40 years ago. It's a lot stronger. I don't think that kids really understand it. And my understanding is that the way it operates on particularly youth brains is really detrimental. I will continue to vote no, but I've voiced that, and
Believe it, and I don't know if you know or if Chief Roberts, if you know, other communities have put prohibitions in place, correct? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't have that information in front of me, no.
Communities in Northeast Ohio have
Yes, I'm
banned it.
I'm fairly certain there are some.
Okay.
But it's on a case-by-case basis. If there is a prohibition in place, then yes, that would in place by the time the permit or the license is issued.
So if it's not in place, and keep in mind, there's a finite number of licenses in the state of Ohio. So someone would have to have one of those licenses in order to rent out a storefront and open up their business. You can't just you can't just do it. I mean, it's not like opening up a shoe store or something where you can. So that's something to keep in mind.
And no,
sorry.
Can I interject something I think is salient to that? First of all, we have to find it as a use that is accepted in our zoning code. And then with that, would have to have some regulation that may include the obtaining of a conditional use for that in a particular location, which would then trigger the public hearing and conversation at council. So it could be more thoroughly regulated locally by making that determination as to where, if somebody came in and they would have to ask for that. We could say it, if we have it in the village, it could be a retail use that's allowed, and that's something we'd have to discuss here. But with that would come regulation that would be embedded in the zoning code that could control it.
Do we know how many licenses the state allows and if they're all allocated and spoken for? Does anyone know that? All right.
I'm not aware.
Okay. I mean, the question is, does Orange Village want to be known as a community that has a marijuana dispensary, or is that something we don't want to be associated with? I think that's the question we have to, and I don't know the answer to that, and I'm torn both ways. You know, I hear Kim's arguments, and I agree with a lot of them.
Was-
Stacy's arguments, and I agree with a lot of those.
Was the question asked when we did the survey? Because I know sometimes when people vote, they're voting for, yes, we want the marijuana use, but maybe not necessarily in a dispensary in our backyard. So all we have to go on is what the vote was.
It was not in the survey. There was nothing about it.
So it's not a yes or no vote today because we're not voting. It would just be do we want to put the moratorium back in place?
I think we're past the point of a moratorium.
Or a prohibition, something in place, yeah.
I think we're past the point of that. If someone wants to do a moratorium, we still can, and we can kick this can down the road another 6 months. But I think we're to the point where we either put a prohibition in place or we just do nothing and allow it to.
If everyone would be amenable to it, I would be happy to invite some of these people in that came and spoke to both Woodmere and Solon before they made a decision. Right now, we're acting without a moratorium anyway because it expired. So if we want to, I don't know that people are
Would that
kicking down the doors to do it right now.
Would that change anyone's minds? I mean,
Apparently, it did for both of those communities. So it's up to you. I'm happy to reach out to those people and ask them to come in, perhaps as early as next week. You know, I don't know what their availability is, but it may or may not make a difference in everyone's minds. I can't speak to that yet.
who were those people you mentioned?
So there were a couple names that were given to me, which I don't have right in front of me, but they're state pharmacy representatives, and also I know people that we could bring in the people from Woodmere and or Solon that run these dispensaries, just to, you know, ask those questions.
And I would say if we're going to do that, then we should be able to bring in people, the exact same number of people on the other side.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's,
I think what we're talking about here, we're not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brent, but I don't think we're taking specific action this evening on this subject.
Well, I mean, we could make a motion to direct the law director to draft an ordinance prohibiting marijuana businesses. That doesn't mean the ordinance is passing. That's just directing him, and then that ordinance would come to us at some point, and the ordinance could be voted down if enough members of council feel that way.
I think it's important that we have a thorough vetting of this decision and allow for a robust engagement with the community to the extent that we can, how people feel about it. I'm sure there are many on both sides of the discussion. And then from that, make a determination as to either vote it up, vote it down, or just let it slide. So I think it's worthwhile at least to have an open discussion. We've had, you know, it was put on the agenda for this evening for our conversation, but I think it might be appropriate to have it on the agenda in terms of a sort of a public conversation on it.
Yeah. Stacy and Kim, if you want to bring people to the meeting next week to speak on behalf of either side, I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't think there's any harm in, again, no one's beating on the doors to open a business anytime soon. So.
Yeah, I do want to clarify that I would be bringing somebody in to answer questions about it, not as a pro, you know, it's just somebody who understands and can answer some of the questions that you've brought up.
Do people have questions that would find this relevant? I mean, is anyone on the fence about this? Either way. Ryan?
I think that it might be more, I don't know, maybe it'd be more helpful to have a conversation with residents of the community, perhaps, because, you know, to some of the points that have been made, I recognize the fact that it was voted, you know, in favor by voters, you know, on a statewide basis, really in our community as well, surrounding communities. But I certainly understand too. I don't know if we necessarily want it anywhere in particular in Orange Village, but it's also, do we say no to that? I don't know. Are we?
It's leaning towards is maybe making a motion to direct the law director to craft an ordinance prohibiting it, and when it comes to us to a vote, at that point, residents can speak either way, and we can, if it gets shot down, it gets shot down.
That wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, to get more input from the community on the topic. Yeah, I feel torn on the subject.
I mean, they voted for it for nearly 70%.
Oh.
It seems clear what
Do you really
voters
think
were doing at the time, and I don't know how I could vote for a moratorium or a prohibition when the voters have said it's fine. I don't feel that I could do that.
Well, I get, and that's fine. I mean, if that's how you feel, and again, there's nothing stopping people from going 5 minutes over the board, 5 feet over the border into Woodmere, and bringing it back to their home.
Know that it's there. I mean, if you drove down that street,
I think people that are in that world know that it's there.
Fine, I don't think it's fairly obvious.
does it say marijuana on
It
sign?
says dispensary.
Dispensary.
Well, I think people know what that means.
They know the lingo. People that want to know, they know the lingo, I think.
I mean, it's not like we're suddenly in Orange Village we'll have a weed here sign somewhere.
I am happy to talk to the state pharmacy board. This is not a dispensary issue, a dispensary group, but it's the state pharmacy board, just to come in and talk to the matter. I can see if they're available next week if you'd like me to do that, and at least they answer questions. And if you decide after hearing from that this is not right, we move forward with the prohibition. If you decide, you know what, now we want to hear what the residents are saying, that's perfectly fine too. I think we should hear from somebody official about the regulations that are involved in something like this.
More information is always good, but I'm kind of concerned with Phil. Does it look like we're changing the vote of the people? So as long as this couch has in like an informational type of thing, not trying to sway people, because we already, like Phil said, we already voted on it, but now we're just getting more information about it. I'm amenable to that.
I think we did vote on it. I just want to be very clear. What was voted on is, should it be legal in the state of Ohio? I think that's a very different question, and there are people that would say, I want it to be available in case I need it for medical purposes, but I don't want it sold in my backyard. And I'd be willing to bet we will have residents in Orange Village who say, I don't want it here in Orange, notwithstanding the fact that it passed by whatever percentage. I do think that, we want to uphold a certain feel in this community, and we really go to great pains to do so. With planning and zoning is sort of what's coming to mind the most. But I mean, this is no different. I think there's a lot of people that will not want this in our community. I'm not saying to arrest people or to try to stand in the way of people who are legally, getting it from Woodmere or another dispensary. That's a very different story.
I'm going to make a motion to direct the law director to craft an ordinance prohibiting marijuana dispensaries. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that.
Okay. And I think, in my opinion, the course of action is get that on the agenda, whether it's next week or whenever, and then we can have discussions at that point. And if enough minds are changed or swayed one way or another, if it doesn't pass, then it doesn't pass. I think we could all live with that, right? If that's the majority of the board. So Anna, will you please call roll on the motion I just made?
Bilski?
Yes.
Allner?
Yes.
Vincent?
Yes.
Madden?
No.
Silver?
Yes. All right, thank you. Are there any audience comments related to agenda items? All right, moving on to old business, ordinance 2024-32, an ordinance authorizing the certain parcels of property in Orange Village and owned by several owners to obtain sanitary sewer services from the city of Bedford Heights via the city of Warrensville Heights, requiring that the property owners maintain all sewer facilities constructed pursuant to this authority, and requiring the payment of all costs and expenses incurred by the village in inspecting and permitting the proposed sewer improvement. This is on for third reading. It has been recommended by Planning and Zoning. Are there any questions or is there a motion to approve ordinance 2024?
Moved.
Thank you, Stacy. I will second it. Is there any questions or comments regarding 2024-32? Anna, please call roll.
Foster?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Allner?
Yes.
Vincent? Madden?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes. Moving on to new business, ordinance 2025-1, an ordinance amending certain sections of Chapter 1337, point of sale inspections of the codified ordinances of Orange Village to change the village's procedures for conducting the point of sale inspection of septic tanks and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. I think we're going to look to suspend the rules on this and pass it tonight. Mayor, do you want to speak to this, Evan?
I can speak to it. Basically, what this is doing is aligning with state law that has changed. They have reduced the time when there is an unoccupied residence that they can go in and inspect to make sure the septic system is performing. And it is currently 60 days. They have changed it to 30 days, and we're just aligning our code to match that, and, so that that can take place in a timely fashion and it's consistent across the region.
Law Director recommend we suspend the rules on this. Any questions or comments? All right, I will make a motion to suspend the rules on 2025-1. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Thanks, Stacy. Will you please call roll on suspension of the rules?
Foster? Yes. Bilski?
Yes.
Allner?
Yes.
Vincent?
Yes.
Madden?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2025-1?
So moved.
Thank you, Phil. I will second that. Henry, please call roll.
Foster?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Allner?
Yes.
Vincent?
Yes.
Madden?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes. Ordinance 2025-2, an ordinance amending certain sections of Chapter 107, contracts of the codified ordinances of Orange Village and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. Mayor, did you want to handle this one?
Sure, I'll try to get a bat on the ball. This relates to, again, state law that is changing relative to what point you have to go out for public bids. Current level is at $50,000. They have raised that to $100,000. We're, again, aligning the our regulations with those of the state so that we are conforming to the readily understandable bidding process for
75, not 100, right? Yeah.
75.
5,000.
And so that we are in alignment with the state's regulation
Excuse me.
as we go out for bids for projects, or whether we need to or not.
This would also raise your spending authority from 15,000 to 25,000.
That's the second piece to this. As evidenced by this last item that we reviewed here, where we slightly eclipsed our my spending limit by a few dollars, it might be decent to have a bigger number that can be authorized by the mayor to expend on behalf of the village, as different costs are getting higher to do things, and it makes it much more advantageous for us to administratively be able to go out rather than waiting to bring an item to council that's only a few dollars above the allowable spending limit. So we're working to put both of these things into place to make it more effective for the village to do business and to administer on behalf of the community.
Any idea how long the spending authority has been 15?
Is it an inflation thing that gets raised up periodically?
I don't remember when it was, it was increased on Mayor Mulcahy's watch to the 15,000, but I don't remember when.
Any questions on this? This is on for first reading. We're not taking any action tonight. Any questions? All right, moving on. Ordinance 2025-3, an ordinance amending section 147.09, uniform allowance and maintenance, shoe allowance of chapter 147, employees generally of the codified ordinances of Orange Village. This is on for first reading. I think we're going to request a suspension of the rules on this. Chief Roberts?
Yes, when we retitled the executive lieutenant's position as the deputy chief's position where I felt it needed to be. We just need an avenue to pay him the uniform allowance. We didn't have that in the ordinance before. That's all this is correcting that. And then when, again, when I took over as chief, I had a conversation with Clerk Christine Dalton, and I asked her, in your work life, what would make one of the things better for you? And she said, if I didn't have to wear a quasi-police uniform. And I see no reason for her to be in one. She didn't like it. She wants to wear office professional clothing. So I agreed, and she's happy. And I did tell her at the time, if we allow you to wear your regular clothes, then there's no reason for a uniform allowance, and she knew that, and she agreed to it. So we're removing that from it.
I have two questions. If at some point in 30 years or whenever it is, she's not in that position anymore, would we ask that next person, or would the uniform allowance come back into place?
I don't see the need for our police clerk to wear a police uniform. I wouldn't want to wear one if I didn't also wear a firearm. People don't like that uniform in some walks of life, and I cover up when I come and go to work. Nobody knows what I do, and she certainly felt that too. So anyone in that position has no law enforcement authority. They have clerk authority, which is administrative. So I see no reason for our clerk to have to wear a police uniform. They can wear office professional clothing.
We could always add that back in if we need it.
It was my question. And my second one is, are they required to get certain shoes? I mean, is it because those shoes could go up in cost every year, or is it just a certain style, like black shoes or?
I think that's just a verbiage they use to write in the ordinance, but no, it's a boot allowance in the service department, it's a shoe allowance. They can wear shoes or boots or anything like that. Our uniform allowance is a set amount, and they buy what they want as long as it's within our specs at the uniform supply vendor.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance 2025-3? Thank you, Kim. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ryan. Anna, please call roll on suspension of the rules.
Foster. Bilski.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2025-3?
Make that motion.
Thank you, Stacy. Is there a second?
Second.
Jeff? Anna?
Foster. Bilski.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
All right, moving on. Ordinance 2025-4, an ordinance authorizing Mayor Judson A. Klein to take all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council NOPEC 2025 Energized Community Grant and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading, and this is another request for suspension of the rules. Mayor Klein, you want to discuss this one?
This goes right back to the discussion we had earlier. This is for the NOPEC grant that we've received. This allows us to accept the money that we will then apply to the control boards that will be purchased for the train equipment. Pretty easy thing. NOPEC provides that, but we have to accept it. So this gives me the authority to accept it.
Make the motion to suspend.
Thank you, Stacy. I will second that. Anna, please call roll on suspension of the rules.
Foster. Bilski.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Is there any questions or comments on the ordinance, first of all, before we vote on it? All right, is there a motion to approve ordinance 2025-4?
I'll make that motion.
Kim, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Anna?
Foster.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Moving on, ordinance 2025-5, an ordinance adopting the tree canopy and 20-year canopy table as Exhibit A to Chapter 1375 of the Orange Village Codified Ordinances and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. Mayor, did you want to?
This is a companion piece that goes with our tree preservation ordinance. As you may recall, within it, what we have come up with is a means by which to measure how much tree canopy to have in a development is based on the percentage of square footage of the coverage of trees. What this exhibit does is provide a schedule of tree species and the square footage of canopy they will produce at maturity at 20 years. And that's the benchmark that we're using for tree replacement in the tree preservation ordinance. So basically all this ordinance does is integrate this exhibit to the already approved tree preservation ordinance 1375.
Will this need to go before planning and zoning?
No, this came out of planning and zoning.
Oh, okay.
Urgent to get this attached to the other piece right away, because we did pass that already.
I think so. I don't think there's any reason to suspend the rules on this.
Whether we get it in another week or two, the beginning of March, Arbor Day is perfect.
Symbolic. Any questions or comments?
In April.
All right, moving on. Resolution 2024-1, a resolution requesting a grant from the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission to implement the linking of Orange Village's parks and green spaces to the Northeast Ohio Metro Park System, aka the Emerald Necklace. Mayor Klein, did you want to discuss this?
I sure would. I am pursuing a grant from the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission through their community grants program to provide a connection between Orange Village, its parks, and the Cleveland Metro Parks. It would come in the form of wayfinding, signage, and in some instances trails. Solon is building some trails that we will be connected with. I've been in contact with both Mayor Kraus in Solon, Mayor Spencer in Moreland Hills, Mayor Sellers in Warrensville Heights, Mayor Booker in Highland Hills, and Mayor Hobart in Woodmere about how this would enhance and connect our communities to the parks. I've had further conversation with Brian Zimmerman, who's the CEO of the Metro Parks, to enlist their support for this project, and they're very enthusiastic about it. I've also, in conversation with the County Planning Commission, this aligns with their Greenway program that they're looking to develop over Cuyahoga County to create linkage amongst green spaces within all communities. And we're sort of being I guess we'll call the first party to the table to say, hey, we would like to connect, and we want to be part of the Emerald Necklace, and this is a way in which we can do it. And we will pursue, therefore, a grant from the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission's community planning grants to be able to do this.
Why does this grant require a resolution when the one a few minutes ago required an ordinance? What's the difference?
Because that's what they asked for in the
Okay. Oh, all right. Gotcha. All right. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-1?
Question.
Thank you, Kim. I will second it. Anna, will you please call roll?
Foster. Bilski.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Vincent. Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Resolution 2025-2, a resolution authorizing and directing Mayor Judson A. Klein of Orange Village to complete all actions necessary to submit an application for the 2025 Cuyahoga Community Planning Services Program and declaring an emergency. Mayor Klein?
This is part of that just gives me the authority to be able to submit the application that I will do tomorrow because it's due on Friday with the approval of council.
Tied to the other resolution, then. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-2?
Moved.
Thanks, Stacy. Is there a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Kim. Anna?
Foster. Bilski.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Vincent. Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Are there any audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village? All right. Comments by Mayor Klein.
I thought you'd never ask. Don't get comfortable. First of all, at next Wednesday, I want to announce that at next Wednesday's council meeting, I'll be presenting my State of the Village report and addressing the accomplishments for 2024, the vision for 2025 and beyond. I want to recognize that this is Black History Month. We have come to observe a time to honor the contributions and accomplishments of African Americans in a variety of sectors, including politics, science, the arts, sports, and education. It's also a chance to draw attention to the difficulties and tribulations that African American community has experienced and continues to experience. This is also Heart Health Month, and to that point, I want residents to consider joining the Active Orange group that Councilman Bilski is instigating. We received a county reimbursement for road maintenance in the amount of $82,533.25 for our road maintenance work, and Beechwood is issuing a check in the amount of $22,008.06 for repairs on Orange Place that we share, and hopefully soon we'll have the approval of the county council to move forward on that boundary change.
What's the status of that?
The status of it, I spoke with Chris Alvarado in Chris Ronane's office on Thursday of last week. They're still kind of trying to navigate it through the county council and get it approved. There's a number of pieces that have to be reviewed by different offices and departments before they can sign off on it. No different than if something came here to us and we would have to give it to Engineering and Planning Commission and so forth. So we're still awaiting that approval. I am told we're very close to having that completed. The Mayors and Managers Association's Sustainability Committee, which I am chairing, is proceeding with the development of a countywide resource book of local programs being facilitated by the communities of Northeast Ohio. This document will provide information and description of those programs across the region and will be shared amongst them for strategies that will be beneficial to all. Also, the Cuyahoga County Mayors and Managers Association is promoting support for the Harvest for Hunger campaign. Mayor Bain and Pepper Pike has shared with me their virtual food drive project to encourage other communities to follow suit. With the reduction in federal support for food banks, our participation is critical to help serve the residents of Northeast Ohio in need of assistance. I've shared the information to develop it with the Orange Village Orange Cares Committee to initiate our participation. There will be information included in upcoming e-news for why and how we can be involved. Site work is getting underway for the first phase of the residential component of the former Weintraub property, now known as the Canyons. The hope is to enable the first occupants to move in by December of 2025. This evening, we approved legislation to enable the connection of the utilities, some of the off-site utility work that's necessary. Last weekend,
It's ambitious, doesn't it, for people moving in by the end of the year?
if they say they can do it, they'll do it.
That's amazing.
So, and I've already had people lining up at my door asking about it. How do we get on? Last weekend was Groundhog's Day. Buckeye Chuck and Puxatawny Pete, or Puxatawny Phil, had differing opinions on the remainder of winter. However, our Ohio prognosticator suggested spring is just around the corner. Let's hope he's correct. Cuyahoga County Board of Revisions will be holding a workshop at the Beechwood Public Library at 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, February 19th, for residents wishing to learn the formal complaint process, how to file, and how to prepare for a hearing. They should attend if interested. I met this week with our grant consultant, Steve Balaban, along with Chiefs Roberts and Genova and Director Zugan, to strategize our process and opportunities to pursue and gain grant awards for equipment and programs we would be otherwise purchasing. Collection of flags, computers, and household hazardous waste will be collected at the Service Department this Friday, February 7th. 3 to Anna? 7 to 3. At the Service Department. Paper shredding will take place on Friday, February 14th. Bring your Valentines. And material to the Service Department for shredding, same time frame. All of our communities are engaged. All of the community committees are now engaged and progressing with their agendas. It's really wonderful to see. And council representatives and liaisons will provide updates on progress, I hope, in their reports. And lastly, and not least, is many of you may know that Police Sergeant Jason Marvin is recovering from cancer treatment, and I'd like Chief Roberts to give us an update and report on his condition.
Yeah, first I'll give the legal disclaimer that Jason has given me full permission to speak of his health publicly, and enthusiastically, as a matter of fact, he did that. I went over, it was his birthday last week, I went over the day after to his home, visited with him, socially distanced outside because he's still in the middle of chemotherapy treatments. I'm thrilled to report that his PET scan shows 0 detectable cancer in his body. Wow. It's truly a miracle because he had a lot of cancer in his body only in November. So it's melting away with the chemo. They're going to keep doing that through the prescribed amount of time, and then he is determined to rehab after that and make a strong run at coming back to work, which we see no reason why he shouldn't be able to do that.
You, and that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. A couple brief things. The Centennial Committee met about 2 weeks ago. There were 5 residents there, including Stacy and myself. The Centennial will be in 2027, so we've got a little bit of time to get our ducks in a row on that one. We just kind of threw around some ideas on things to do. I think the main part will be tying it into Party in the Park that summer, some sort of bigger celebration. Like I said, we got a lot of time to figure this one out. So next meeting is in April, April 10th. I would imagine we'll meet probably quarterly this year. So next year pick it up a little bit, and certainly in 27 pick it up beyond that too. But it was a good meeting. Some good ideas thrown about there. Chief Roberts, you're busy tonight here. I believe you sent an email out about the video release policy. Can you go over that, please?
Yeah, this speaks to House Bill 315, where we're able to charge $75 an hour for redacted video when requested, not to exceed $750 per request. It's a law now signed by the governor. And I met with the mayor. We came up with a media handout that we're going to provide that shows our stance on this moving forward. And basically, not much has changed to it because we've been providing redacted video as demand, and everybody gets in line, and we do it when we can. It's very time-consuming and expensive to purchase the infrastructure, computers, software, things like that. When we talked last council meeting, it was brought up that maybe to our media partners, we wouldn't charge them. And the workaround to that is if we're not going to charge them, we don't charge anyone. So in this media handout that I'm happy to provide to everyone, if you don't already have it, the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph down is the nuance I'm speaking to. I'll just read it quickly. It's a small paragraph. Driven by our desire to maintain transparency and efficiency, any member of the media or general public requesting redacted video of an incident by narrowing the scope of the request to the most relevant segments, aka deadline-friendly clips of available video in lieu of a broader request will be expedited and provided at no cost to the requester. That is something we've had really good relations with our media partners already with. They may make a broad request in the beginning, and I will email with them and say, hey, if I give you the initial contact, primary officer through arrest, hospital, or jail, is that enough? If it is, I can do that in a timely fashion, and you can tell your story, and they almost always agree to that. Anybody requesting all of it, it takes time. We have 3 views per cruiser, plus the 4th view, the body cam. That's a lot of video. You get into the size of a motion picture really fast, and it takes us about 2 hours, 2 man-hours to produce 1 hour of video.
Because of the redaction, is that what?
For redaction, yes. So that's where we're at, and it seems to be a very fair way to proceed. I know the mayor agreed with it when he heard it as well.
I'm just curious how many requests are from media versus from residents or the general population?
It's a hard thing to define now because you can have citizen media, citizen reporters. Anybody can say they're media, and they are media then, just by that declaration. Not very often do we get somebody that just says, I'm really curious about your video, send me some. But we do have a lot of, I don't know if they're considered companies or what in the nation that make clips and then monetize it on social media. So they ask for a very broad thing, and if even when they do it, we'll ask them to narrow it down till we know what they want. If they'll allow us to do that, then we will provide that to them as well for free. But if somebody says, no, I want the whole thing, every angle, every cruiser, no problem. We will comply with that. It's the law. It's just going to take time. You'll be put in line in the queue, and we'll get to them when we can. If I had an officer doing it full-time right now that was also skilled, we're a 30-day backlog right now. I currently have a part-time officer here 24 hours a week, and that's mostly what I've asked him to do. So it's going to be a time before we climb out of the backlog.
Okay. Thank you for that update. I'm glad you came up with something that you think will work for you and your team. Okay. That's all that I have. Comments by council members. Jeff Foster.
Excuse me. I appreciate the comments that the mayor made on Black History Month, but I feel like this is the time to, while we acknowledge the comments the mayor made and the things that African Americans this month, but I feel like we have a lot more in common than we do that separates us, and these are stressful times that we all need to acknowledge all the things that we all do together collectively as we'll just say Orange Village. And I think the more we acknowledge how much everybody brings to the table, the more we acknowledge how much we are as a community, and the more we acknowledge how to move forward. That's my view.
Thank you. Ryan Bilski.
I would like to thank Mary from the Alzheimer's Association for coming in tonight. I think, again, it's a very important aspect of something that probably a lot of people in the village are dealing with, again, and, the information and the resources, the availability of that are important to know about. So that's one part of, I think, what, we intend to bring through Active Orange and, hopefully more good resources and information to come. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Stacy Vincent.
Happy National Girls and Women in Sports Day today. I want to thank Mr. Hirsch for being here tonight. And I want to congratulate Mr. Ed Wittenberg, who was named to the Ohio School Boards Association Media Honor Roll. He was nominated by the Orange Schools for his fair, accurate, and balanced reporting. It's probably the only Orange story that Ed won't cover. So I do want to take a moment to congratulate you and thank you for the important work that you do as a journalist and as a loyal local reporter. The award was presented at the last school board meeting. Congratulations and thanks for all you do, Ed. And you can quote me on that. Also apparently dog sitter tonight, as we saw, so congratulations. Also of note, the board accepted the retirement letters from the Brady Middle School principal and assistant principal who will retire at the end of July after 17 years in the district. Congratulations to the inclusive preschool and rec preschool on earning perfect scores with no workplace violations after the annual inspection by the Ohio Department of Education. It's important to note that registration for kindy is underway right now in our community. If anyone has a child who will turn 5 by September 30th, the registration is going on as we speak. Heads up that the incredible International Night will be held once again at Moreland Hills Elementary School. This year it will be on February 20th, so it's really early this year, coming up in a couple weeks. If you would like to host a table representing your or your family's nationality, please fill out the form on the Orange Schools website. You don't have to go to the Orange Schools to be a part of that. So any families in our community are welcome to participate, either by hosting a table or just by going and really enjoying and experiencing the dozens of nationalities that proudly are represented in our district. The next school board meeting is on Monday, February 10th at 6. In honor of Black History Month, the Orange High School Male Minority Leadership is hosting a film festival throughout the month. Films will be shown in the auditorium each Saturday from 2 to 4. It's free, but donations are welcome. The African American Culture Club, Sister to Sister, and the OHS Choir and Orchestra are combining forces to present a night of Black history documented in music, dance, and poetry. It is 1 week from tonight, so unfortunately council members won't be able to attend, but for others who are interested in our community, it will be a beautiful night of cultural storytelling through music. It will be held from 7 to 8 in the OHS auditorium. Speaking of those events, our first arts and culture meeting was held in January. It was a resounding success. We had about a dozen residents on hand. We have so much talent and creativity in the Orange community, and lots of great ideas are already in the works. If you do want to learn more, join us at our second meeting, which is tomorrow night, Thursday, February 5th at 7 p.m. here at Village Hall. We welcome you, we welcome your ideas, we welcome our champions Cindy Sobel and Jason Kiss, and thank them, along with Committee Secretary Rochelle Kidder and all of our wonderful committee members. Tomorrow night at Fount at Pinecrest, they are sponsoring a Give Back Night. 20% of all sales goes back to the Orange Schools Foundation. The event begins at 4 and will include refreshments, bag conditioning, leather crafts, and more. You can also shop online using the code PINESHIP. Speaking of Pinecrest, next to final reminder to all, don't forget those Orange for the Holidays coupon books. This is the final month to be able to use them. Take advantage of those great coupons and wonderful offers. And for anyone that happens to be listening out of state, or if you have friends or family out of state, a local first grade teacher is seeking Valentine's cards for her first grade class that's learning about mapping. If you'd like to help them out, please drop a card in the mail to Mrs. Anderson's class, 32,000 Chagrin Boulevard, Pepper Pike, Ohio, 44124. I will get the information to Anna. They're hoping to get at least one card from every state and maybe even multiple countries. Just want to wish a happy Lunar Chinese New Year in the year of the snake, filled with great health, great hope, great prosperity. Thank you.
Kim Olner.
Thank you. So I've been to 2 Planning and Zoning Commission committee meetings. On January 21st, we approved plans for 2 Pulte townhomes. On February 4th, we approved plans for 2 Pulte standalone homes. All 4 of those, were in Lakes of Orange. And if anyone wants further details, I'm happy to supply them. Tuesday, February 11th, is the next Orange Cares meeting. And one of the things that Orange Cares is doing is what we've called the kindness game. So you may receive at your doorstep a box with some goodies and spreading kindness and cheer. And we hope that people will participate and then pass that along to their neighbors. There are instructions on the box, and it's very well labeled. I will say Cheryl did a great job. So if someone doesn't know about it and they get this box, they can easily figure it out as long as they can read. Tonight is actually the last night for pre-orders, for placing pre-orders for Girl Scout cookies. And as a Girl Scout mom, this is my final year supporting my daughter in her sales. She will have sold, by the end of this year, almost 19,000 cookies over the year, boxes of cookies, boxes of cookies over the years. So try to support some local Girl Scouts in the Orange area. There's not a lot of girls selling this year, but the ones that are, would I know appreciate the support. And that's it. So hope everybody has a good week.
You have some, Ryan?
I have one more, but we didn't go to.
Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, we had our first meeting of the Sustainability Committee in January, and we had someone from Kimball there. I was very impressed with that all their trucks are running on gas they're collecting from their landfill. So that's
Like methane.
Is it?
so it was quite an impressive and highly technical explanation, which, given that I have a degree related to chemistry, I think I got it. I'm not sure how many others did. But it was a very good meeting. We have another meeting coming up next Tuesday here at 7 o'clock. And I have misplaced the speaker's name, but perhaps the mayor might know that.
I do. Her name is Deepa Vendayavas.
Okay.
And if you can write that down. She is the Director of Sustainability at NOPEC. Working on NOPEC's strategy for renewable energy.
Okay.
And
That sounds great. And so hopefully people can come to that next Tuesday.
Thank you, Ryan. Did
Wait, yeah, I just wanted to add, we had the second Economic Development Committee meeting last night as well. I think there was some confusion for some folks over the night of the meeting. Please refer to the website. Ann has been doing a great job keeping track of that on there, and all meeting dates will be posted on the website. Last night, shared with some of the folks who joined us information that we have gotten as kind of a sample from this company called A Local that we have engaged. It's a company I'm familiar with for their economic development work in Indian country, and that's now expanded onto municipalities throughout the country as well. So they gave us our kind of our first run of some data they pulled for the surrounding communities. So look forward to circulating that with the larger audience and reviewing that with the mayor and team. So,
all right, thank you. I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purposes of discussing compensation of employees. We will invite Chief Roberts in to join us with that, and Evan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Stacy. Is there, Anna, please call roll.
I get to be invited.
Yeah, Mayor, you're invited too.
Foster. Bilski.
yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Vincent. Madden.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes.
There be anything coming out of the meeting?
Anything after that, so that'll be good. Thank you, everybody.